As I promised, today we're gonna cover exclusive agency listing agreement for sellers, right? And we're gonna go over two offers that I got from my own property when I was selling it. One offer is cash. Other offer is financing. You're gonna see the differences, and keep in mind, I didn't accept any of these properties because my home was listed for $400,000, and both of these properties were under. And I will tell the story in the later this video. However, let's open first the exclusive agency listing agreement. This is something that your agent is gonna go over with you, and you're gonna see here information, your information, the property address, right? The broker, your address, listing price, listing term. Okay. Number 4 is going to be basically when this listing is expiring, meaning how long your agent has to sell this home before it expires, and then when it's going to start. Under B, listing price is very important, right? And here we come to compensation on the number 6, right? Seller will pay broker compensation of, let's say, 3%, and that's important part. If we do 3%, meaning that 3% has to be split between the buyer and seller. If we do 6% there, then that can be split between buyer and seller. So most of the time is between 5 and 6 in this field. Additional listing broker compensation for unrepresented buyer. If broker or any other broker's agent produce a buyer ready, willing and able to buy a property, and such a buyer is not represented by a broker at the time of ratification, seller will pay broker the following in addition to broker compensation. So nothing here. Listing broker service fee. Seller will pay a broker additional flat fee of nothing. Retainer fee. We don't take retainers. Early termination, 0. We don't charge you anything for the early termination. Here we come to the disclosure compensation. Optional seller paid buyer's broker compensation. Again, seller has no obligation, but seller will authorize broker to disclose a prospective buyer and broker representing buyer willingness to negotiate with the buyers regarding seller's payment of the or the whole part of the compensation. So yes, that's the 6% that you mentioned before, and you're giving us authorization so we can negotiate for that. And then here regular stuff, what you basically convey to the property, depending on what features are there and what does not, and what's as is. And here is very important part under number 8 and letter C, point C. As is marketing. If your property you wanted to list it as is, this is what has to be marked. Seller does authorize broker to offer the entire property as in condition. So we don't have to go through with anyone asking us to certain repairs. Okay, and here are the any leased items. Warranty, if you want to offer the warranty, most of the time there is no warranty unless it's a brand new home, new construction. Utilities, again, very straightforward. And this is all other terms. That broker will protect and promote the interest of a seller, that's because we work for you. Broker will use reasonable efforts and act diligently to seek buyer for property. Basically, we will help you find the buyers. We will market the property. We will present you all offers, no matter if they're high or low. It's your decision to make. We will just help you and answer questions if you have. We are not going to steer you in any directions. It's completely your choice. And we will not continue to market after the contract is ratified. We will also, of course, account in timely manner all the money escrow received, and we will, of course, show the property only when you allow it. Here you come with about the log boxes. Most of the time, if house is vacated, there can be a log box. It's basically part of our negotiation. It's much easier if you do log boxes than anything else. And the for sale sign, I think it's really helpful if you put the for sale sign in the front of the home, so everybody who passes by can scan our QR code and get information instantly instead of just going on the Google Map, searching the address, copy pasting it to a Zillow with headache, and by the time they find a home at a Zillow, they may just give up because they're tired of looking for it. Marketing, this is the important part. There's something agents have access to that you as a seller, if you're not agent, don't. MLS, once you place the property on the MLS, it goes everywhere on all possible platforms such as Zillow, Realtor, and other websites. Third-party websites, maybe like our website. Again, our website is also linked to the MLS, so we can get authorization for this if there are such a websites. Then number C, in the event seller has opted into marketing property in the MLS, subparagraph A, above broker is hereby authorized by seller to submit and market property as follows. So, are you allowing us to show the address? I mean, you should, right? Are you allowing us to display comments or reviews? It doesn't really happen on MLS. And estimate market value property or hyperlink for such estimates. You can, again, people see that stuff on the Zillow anyway. Coming soon status, very straightforward. And then we have a representation seller, buyer, designated representation. So seller is what we're talking about right now. Buyer is a different video that we did where we are representing a buyer. And designated representation is when we are, or what's happening most of the time is we are representing you and someone else representing a buyer. So each person has its own agent. There's something that's called dual agency, is when I represent buyer and the seller. Okay, as I mentioned here, dual agency, dual representation. And it's hit or miss, right? When you're doing dual representation, we're trying to jingle between both, right? Buyer and the seller. We don't want, of course, buyer to buy something that's not good, but we also make sure the seller is selling something that's good. So we are kind of picky when it comes to doing dual representations. Everything confidential, relocation if you're relocating, and if the home is in the condo association or the HOA, lead-based paying disclosure, this is also part of the buyer agreement. If the home is built before 1978, are there any liens? Seller financing, this is very interesting part. Happened to me a couple of times, it's not very common. I was representing a buyer once and a couple of times sellers when they were doing seller financing. It's nothing difficult. It can be much faster than just doing regular financing, but as long as the seller is willing to take that risk, because in this case seller is becoming a bank, and then usually 3 to 5 years term, the balloon payment is due. So it's tricky, but we're gonna make other video about that. Closing cost, we never touch estimate closing cost. You can see here seller is licensed or not licensed agent. Do you have knowledge of removal or abandonment on any underground storage tank? So this is also legal stuff. Depends on the seller at the property. You taking a full responsibility of property, that including all utilities, maintenance, physical security, liability, until title property is transferred to the buyer. So we cannot do anything or damage anything once the contract is ratified to basically to damage property, so it will affect the buyer. That's not ethical and it should not be done. In the case of seller default, basically we can terminate the agreement. It never happened to me. It doesn't really usually happens unless someone passes away or something. But again, that's we have to get a release form and buyer to sign and such things. And you can see here under number 29, appropriate professional advice, that we are just presenting you as a real estate agent. We are not an attorney, we are not tax advisor, lender, or appraisal. We are just advising you as a real estate agent. Referrals, we can refer each other, we can refer us to other friends. Again, some wire fraud, governing law depending on the state, in this case Virginia, binding agreement, attorney fees if anything happens, definitions, additions, if it's a short sale addendum, SORA panel addendum, or any other addendums, everything will be attached into this contract, but then again, that depends on the property itself. And here are just signatures. Now, we're gonna go into the two offers that I received from my property in this case. And the first offer that we're gonna go through is the regular conventional financing, I believe, here. But you can see the property is the one in the Lake Anna. It's a Whitwood Cove area. So property was listed for $400,000, and they offer me $315,000, like almost $100,000 down. I declined this offer, but we can go through to see what they offer. Okay. So under number 2, pricing and financing, they offered $315,000 with down payment of 20%, and they were doing conventional financing of 80%, so remaining the balance of the loan. Under letter E, they were asking for a 3% commission for their agent. So remember that 6% from the main contract, that would be split in half. So 3% goes to seller's agent and 3% goes to the buyer's agent. Financing contingency. Contract is contingent under financing, meaning if this buyer cannot finalize the financing, he has a right to just back out the contract and no penalties. Appraisal, the same thing. If this home, in this case, they offered $315,000, comes in appraised at $300,000, they have a right to negotiate. Okay? And I can always say no. And if I say no, they can just back out the contract. Actually happened here. Home was listed for $400,000. I got this $315,000. I got $350,000. You can see the next one, cash one. I declined both. And then I got the offer for $390,000. I accepted $390,000. They did the appraisal. It was appraisal contingency. They appraised at $349,000. I didn't want to negotiate at all. So they had to pay. I mean, they didn't have to pay, but they decided to cover the difference between $349,000 and $390,000 with cash out the pocket to secure the home. But again, that home is an income producer, short-term rental. They don't live there. Buyer representation. In this case, this will be investment. As you can see, will not occupy property as a buyer principal residency. That's why they have a 20%, most probably. Deposit, this is the escrow we talked about before. $3,000, yeah, around 1%. And it's going to be to a settlement agent, and it will be delivered within the 5 business days after ratification. So once when you all sign, they have 5 business days to send that escrow to the settlement agent or title agency. So if we close on Thursday, they have Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to send it. Weekend doesn't count. Settlement, you can see here, and this is coincidence. I actually sold that home. That's my first home I bought as investment, and I sold it on my birthday. Actually, it's a Halloween, right? Settlement was on 10/31/2024. This is the North Virginia title and escrow. Okay, this is where it's going to be delivered, and you can see here that this particular property is located within HOA, but is not located within a development that is subject to the Virginia Condo Act. So we have a HOA fee, but we don't have a condo fee. It's a house. This is just giving us a time to basically deliver all the documentation into who. Property maintenance and condition inspection. So this is the inspection that we talked about. They do want inspection, and they want property to be in the condition as a date of the home inspection. And this contract is contingent upon home inspection. So they want to do inspection of home because I was not selling it as is, and they wanted to negotiate if something has to be repaired. So if I don't want to do it, they can always back out. Okay, utilities, as you can see here, nothing crazy. What conveys, what does not. And you can see this is just regular stuff. The seller, me, I'm not a foreign person. There is a house not built before 1978, so not lead-based paint. They did want to do the wood destroying inspection. And in this case, again, if they find any insects, they can also back out or negotiate with me to treat the home. Home warranty, no. And this is just the regular stuff that we already covered in the previous contract. This is just stating that I am, as a seller, I am the licensed realtor and I am related to the property. And here we have additions, what they include, contingencies, home inspection, radon, and there is a commercial financing. And interesting, they didn't include here other contingencies. They probably didn't notice that home had a well and a septic. However, this never got accepted. And you can see here, this is the appraisal agreement. So appraisal addendum that they're giving, basically financing and appraisal contingency addendum. It's showing that they have addendum and the contingent under financing and appraisal. Meaning, if financing doesn't go through or home doesn't appraise and I'm not willing to negotiate, they can back out. They have automatic extension, meaning it can extend automatically if they don't get financing till the certain date in the contract. And same here, appraisal contingency, as I already mentioned, if the home doesn't appraise and I don't want to negotiate, they can back out. And here we have a home inspection on the page 1 of the home inspection with the option to negotiate repairs. So they choose the home inspection to negotiate, and there's an option to choose the home inspection to void only. So to negotiate, they can negotiate with me and I can say yes or no, or give them a credit, right? Or they can do the home inspection with option to void only. They can just say, I like it, I don't like it, I'm in, I'm out, right? Most of the time when I'm doing inspections, I do that with void only. I don't want to deal with repairs and asking seller to do it. They didn't choose the radon. And that was basically it. And I'm going to show you now the cash offer. So cash offer, you can see here, they offer $350. Down payment was $350. Cash, no financing. Look at that. Not contingent on the financing, not contingent on the appraisal, and the buyer will not occupy property as a primary, so it's investment property. $3,500, so 1% for the escrow. Look at that. Number 9, they're waiving the option to do home inspection contingency, so they don't care. Meaning, if the home doesn't pass inspection or whatever, they don't like it, they cannot back out. So completely waived. This is all other stuff that we already went through in the previous offer. No warranty. They want to do the wood destroying insect inspection at their own expense. Very easy contract. And you can see here, the best part is that they are doing as is. So they're offering $350, no contingencies, no appraisal, no financing, so it's a cash, and they're doing as is. So they don't care, they just want a home. However, I didn't like this. I countered them at $390 and I never heard back from them. So that house was making me income. I was not crazy about selling it, but I had nice equity. I wanted to diversify somewhere else, and I was patient. It took almost 4 months to sell it, but I got my offer and I sold a home. I would really like to hear your experiences about selling process. So if you have something to say or even ask, please feel free to comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.